And joining us now to discuss the topic is Gavriel Sanders, spokesperson for the Be A Mensch Foundation. Gavriel, good morning and thank you for joining us. I think Jews and sympathetic voices are completely shocked by this act of terror right here in our nation's capital on American soil. Let me first ask, how are you dealing with this and processing the devastating news?
Well, it hurts, and it's hurt on top of hurt because we're here in Israel. I mean, I'm in Jerusalem. We're a nation still dealing with trauma. We haven't buried our dead yet. We haven't recovered our hostages. Every day we're assaulted from as far south as Yemen, sometimes Iran, the unpredictability of what's happening in the Gaza area. It's a very destabilizing time. You know, all of us think about possibilities all the time. So it's a strange cloud to live under. And then this, what happened with Yaron Lischinsky and with Sarah Milgrim. It's just pain. As I said, it's pain on top of pain and shock on top of shock.
As I understand it, one an American and one an Israeli come together in Washington, D.C. and engaged. I think that explains the dynamic that Israel and American Jewry have. What is it like on the ground in Israel at this moment?
Sobering. That's probably the best thing to say. We understand that our reaction to trauma can be really one of two options. I like to say we can get bitter or we can get better. And so I'm encouraging people in the quest to be better to do something specifically in the name and memory of these two people who were mercilessly gunned down from the back. The details are coming out. They had no idea what was coming their way. And they just were 21 bullets pumped into them. I'm just hard to even fathom this. The degree of hate, which obviously is stemmed from fear, which came from ignorance. That's what it's always that kind of situation. So we're asking people to not just sit in the shock or the scorn even of this Mr. Rodriguez. Let's fight back with good. Let's stand up and make a difference in someone else's life. Let's go a little further out of our comfort zone in the name of these two innocent people and make a difference in that's in the Be A Mensch Foundation. That's really our whole focus is to, take walls and turn them into bridges, to take enemies and turn them into friends and neighbors, to make a real difference through very honest eyeball to eyeball dialogue, asking tough questions and going through the adjustment to receive the answers in a way that brings a real permanent change and a unity that's not based on a negative, but a unity that's based on positives. That's what we're all about. And that, I think, by extension, is what everyone can embrace.
In the wake of such tragic news, your positivity with soberness, mixed with soberness, is really inspiring. For those who are unfamiliar with the Yiddish term, can you explain what the word mensch actually means? You described what your organization's goals are, and maybe in addition to defining mensch, you could explain sort of what your foundation is actively doing.
I appreciate you asking the question, and parenthetically, I just want to say I'm a big fan of your work and the greater mission that you're about, and so we celebrate that because we have a lot in common. The Be A Mensch Foundation, the word mensch, you're right, it's a Yiddish word, and more than just meaning man or person, it means a person of character quality, someone you can trust, someone who has integrity, somebody who's accepting, someone who listens, someone who looks for the greater good, someone who looks at a person and says, how can I make this person's life better by my interaction with him or her? That's what that's about. And here in Israel, we're working through various programs to bring unity through strength and understanding to groups like the Scouts, what's called Hatzofim, which is really an incubator for Israel's future leaders. We work with high school students in some of the most liberal of high schools. They want to talk to the people on the other side, the ones that wear things like I have on my head here, and some have side curls. They want to get to know the other and change the other into us. That's really, I think, if I had to put it all into a nutshell, what do we really do? We turn others into us. We go from them to we. And we do that with Air Force pilots. We do that with C-suite executives. We do that with university students. We have actually for credit courses to get people together and wrestle with the tough questions that ultimately produce unity and care. That's what it's all about, because a unified Israel is a strong Israel. And if we're not unified, we're not strong. And that's what happened on October 6th. We were splintered. October 8th, we were unified, but around a negative. The Be A Mensch works to unify things around a positive. And what we're doing here is really scalable anywhere.
I think when Americans who are unfamiliar with Israel hear that it's actually a very diverse society. That's surprising to them. Some lessons we could potentially learn in bringing left and right and secular and religious together. What are some of the insights that you've gleaned in working with very different populations?
So we take a disruptive approach, which means we take an unexpected approach. And I'll give you one or two really quick examples. As you know, October 6th and prior to that, there were a lot of what we call hafganot. There were a lot of demonstrations here against the government, against Bibi, about the reforms in the Supreme Court. And we would show up, our team members would show up at places like that, and sometimes with signs that say, secular and religious Jews refuse to be enemies. Well, that attracted a lot of attention because that's a very unusual message, but that's how we feel. We feel it's like the Jewish people is an extended family, and the human populace of the world is an extended family. All right. So we're like a family. We can disagree, but we don't have to live disagreeably. That's a basic concept that we have to accept. I can disagree with you, you can disagree with me, and we can go have a cup of coffee, shoot around a pool, whatever it is, play some chess, and that's okay. We're friends disagreeing. We're not enemies. And so we don't let the philosophies and the ideologies polarize us to that point. Another thing we did, we showed up at demonstrations with food, with something called cholent, which is like this gastronomical, delicious food that we eat on Shabbat. Everybody loves it. And it's a great unifier. I mean, food is the ultimate catalyst, right? So we employ that as well. And there are other things that we do in terms of taking students to places they've never been before, giving them experiences they've never been before. There's a very religious city not too far from Tel Aviv called Bnei Brak. It was the home of what some people call the ultra-Orthodox. It's amazing we had two occasions very recently where we took university students there. They were blown away because it broke through their biases, their stereotypes, these media-driven narratives that they've been fed. And they found out, hey, it ain't true what they've been saying about these people. And so we're just going to keep pushing ahead. That's why we put out the book you see behind me, this one on extreme trauma about October 7th. But within it is the declaration of the resiliency of the Jewish people and other people of conscience, and about the hope that can arise out of all this. And so I'm going to make a plug and say, if anybody wants to help further the cause of unity, I invite you to go to Amazon and get a copy of this book, because some of the proceeds will go to further unity initiatives here in Israel, and you can be a part of that. And as I said before in the very beginning, let's do something in Yaron's memory and Sarah's memory that makes this world a better place, and we don't forget them. Don't let the news cycle produce, amnesia about these people. Let's remember and let's do something for them because we care about them. I never met them, you never met them, but we can now embrace their memory and say, I'm making a difference, I'm making things better. That's what Mensch is all about.
Gavriel Sanders, spokesperson for Be A Mensch Foundation. Very inspiring. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Be blessed.